I'd like to redeem my credit card miles.
Yeah, no.
All you ever say is no.
And yet you keep calling.
That's it. I'm coming to find you. I am tired of no.
Ooh, I'm shaking in my bright yellow shirt.
You're going down. Ah!
Go from no to no hassle with Capital One No Hassle Rewards. There are no blackout dates on any airline, anytime.
I should work at Capital One.
What's in your wallet?
Oh,
Patmer.
At Fowler Buick GMC, bottom line prices keep us at the top of our game.
That's right, Larry. No games, no gimmicks, just bottom line prices on GMC trucks. Like this brand new 05 Yukon for only $28,700, or how about a 05 Sierra for only $22,500? Bottom line prices on pre-owned every day, like this 04 Impala for just $14,995, or this 05 Buick Park Avenue for only $25,988.
Bottom line prices
Are at the top of our list
at Fowler Buick GMC, downtown Jackson
and Pearl Brandon.
Yeah, you'll start working out just as soon as you find the right gym. Now that's easy. Just ask why. Your YMCAs are more than fully equipped fitness centers, aquatics, and sports. YMCAs are youth leadership, childcare, after-school programs, and family values. Ys meet the needs of all ages, abilities, and incomes every day. And there's no joining fees and no contracts. So first, ask why. Then join the why. Keep yourself and your community in shape.
After weeks of nervous anticipation, dozens of communities got the news they've been dreading today. The Defense Department is proposing the closure of some 180 military installations, including 33 of the biggest military bases in the country. Communities and lawmakers across the country are now struggling to save their facilities in what will be the first round of base closures in a decade. Among the hardest hit locations, Fort McPherson in Georgia, the Naval Shipyard in Portsmouth, Maine, and Fort Monmouth in New Jersey. The single largest closure involves the New London submarine base in Connecticut. Almost 8,500 people stand to lose their jobs. We've heard from reporters at 3 of those marked bases.
The state of Oregon will lose more than 1,000 personnel as part of the BRAC plan. Half of those will come here at the Portland, Oregon Air Base. That's where the 142nd Fighter Wing and the 939th Air Refueling Wing are stationed. The other half will come at the Umatilla Chemical Weapons Depot in eastern Oregon. That depot has been incinerating chemical weapons for the last couple of years. At the Portland, Oregon Air Base, Dave Northfield for NBC News.
The National Guard 110th Fighter Wing has been patrolling the skies since 1947, and in recent years, its A-10 Warthogs have provided air support in the Gulf War and the war in Iraq. But today, in a Defense Department cost-cutting effort, it has decided to close this base. 300 military and civilian employees have been affected here, and for the city of Battle Creek, it estimates the local economy could lose up to $28 million in lost revenue. In Battle Creek, Michigan, Patrick Center, NBC News.
I'm Michelle Hoffland. Good news, bad news for this town and the people at Grand Forks Air Force Base. The good news, the base is not on the closure list. The bad news, the Pentagon wants to cut the jobs there by 90% and turn it into the new home for the unmanned spy plane. The Grand Forks Air Force Base has been on the list twice before and survived. Now this town has hired a team of consultants to fight and keep the jobs here. Juan and Monica, back to you.
Well, Ron, you know, this latest round of base closures in the United States has a lot of communities up in arms and understandably upset. I mean, these things really take a toll on these communities. There's a lot of dislocation in terms of the economy and the surrounding areas, and I understand that. On the other hand, we're facing a whole new range of threats in the 21st century. Terrorist threats, obviously. No more Cold War world to deal with. It's a whole different atmosphere for the United States military. And one of the reasons President Bush chose Secretary Rumsfeld to begin with, long before 9/11, was the fact that he thought Rumsfeld would come in and streamline the U.S. military, make it more efficient, more agile, faster on its feet, and also more responsive to the kinds of threats that we're ending up dealing with now. And so I think it's responsible for the military to take a hard look at what bases we need, what bases we don't need, what bases need to be realigned, and go from there and try to explain to those on the ground in these different locations why they're doing it and try to make the best of it.
Well, one thing we can keep in mind, too, is that many of these, not all, but some, let's say, of these bases were political creations to begin with. And, you know, you got to come in. As you said, Donald Rumsfeld has come in and he's taken a look at some of these things. They're not necessary anymore. And he's saying, get the big broom, sweep them away. Now, you got to feel for the people in these towns because communities have grown up around these bases. There's a lot of support personnel that work in these towns. Their jobs depend on the bases being there. So there's going to be a lot of pain there. But as I said, you know, the military's job is not to provide jobs for, you know, for various communities around the country. They're there to be ready to go to war. And that's apparently what they're thinking about when they close these bases. Of course, there is going to be a fight in the Senate about this. So some of these base closings may not happen after all.
It is Washington after all, Ron.
That's right. Well, you can often gauge the public's reaction to an event by looking at what's being said on the internet. Today's base closings, no different. Blogger Jeff Quinton has been keeping track of the base closings and realignments, especially those in his home state of South Carolina. His blog is called Backcountry Conservative at jquinton.com. Welcome to you, sir. Jeff, how are you?
Great. How are you doing, Ron?
Good, good. Well, tell us, as you survey the blogosphere, do you notice that there are sort of regional differences in the responses to these base closings? Maybe people in Texas are all for it because they seem to be coming out pretty well, but maybe not so much in your home state.
Well, from what I've seen so far today, there's been reaction. It's been somewhat muted from many of the states upset about the closings. And then there have also been other states where people are saying, we're glad it didn't go as badly as we thought it was going to go. And South Carolina was one of those states. There was a lot of speculation that Shaw Air Force Base was going to close or that another facility might close in South Carolina, one of the ones that's there. And there were people in Mississippi who I read earlier today who were blogging. Chris Lawrence, signifying nothing, wrote that it wasn't as bad as he expected, although Pascagoula was closing, and that he was the one who actually pointed out that that was a political creation of Trent Lott that was kept alive during the last round of BRACs.
Jeff, are you seeing different reactions from, say, the regular military versus National Guard versus reserves?
I haven't seen a lot of that lately because a lot of the mill bloggers probably are waiting and seeing before they actually post anything on it because they're going to go where they go regardless of what happens. Maybe more so in the reserve components, they would be a little more interested in it because it may affect them more individually. I know I have seen one analysis of the situation. I believe it was Phil Carter at Intel Dump, who posted some analysis of the situation with the BRAC announcement that it was the majority of bases being closed, if you looked at the whole list, were reserve installations, and that more of the active duty bases were staying open.
Jeff, you know this has still got to make it through the Senate, and a lot of these senators are going to fight like hell to keep these bases open. What are the blogs prognosticating about about how that's going to shake down in Congress?
Well, I've seen a couple of bloggers who are talking about that very issue and who have gauged the reaction of local politicians, like the press conference outside of Fort McPherson earlier today with the governor of Georgia, and Senator Byrd made some pronouncements about the closing in West Virginia, and they've pointed out that there's going to be a fight in a lot of the states, and that in a lot of the states the people are just doing it to pander to votes, and that the bases ought to be cut anyway. And then there's also been the people who agree with those politicians and want the bases to stay open.
Jeff, on another angle here, how important is the internet in linking the families that are involved in these military base closings and keeping them in touch and sort of, you know, solidarity?
There have been a lot of communications among different family members, just like there have been with family members who were deployed overseas on this issue, and there have been a lot of speculation and research on message boards and different forums, and there have been a lot of Google searches for it. I've been getting a lot of traffic on my blog in the past few weeks looking for information on it, and I know Michelle Malkin posted about it on her blog that she was having a lot of people searching on terms related to the base closings, and some other bloggers were as well.
All right, blogger Jeff Quinton, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And speaking of connecting on the internet, on MSNBC.com, you can become a citizen journalist and share your stories on the impact of the base closures. Dennis from Alva, Oklahoma writes, "This will have a drastic impact on me and my family. I'm a disabled vet and invested all my money in rental properties in Ingleside, Texas. This area was supposed to be taken off the closure list permanently. I sure hope I don't suffer a great loss."
Sharon from San Antonio, Texas writes, "It's ridiculous to consider closing any facility facilities at this time as we need to be prepared. In San Antonio, we will lose some jobs and gain others. Our net gain is really not the point. This will destroy people's livelihoods all over the country.
And Tim from Clovis, New Mexico writes, if they close our local base, I feel it will be devastating to this small community. Much of the economy in Clovis is due to the business generated by military members at Cannon Air Force Base.
And finally, Kyle from Anderson, Indiana writes, to tell the truth, Indiana has already been shell-shocked by a huge loss of automotive and manufacturing jobs. Taking hits from military base closures will put more salt in the wounds, definitely. And if you have a story of how you and your community would be affected by a military base closure, become a citizen journalist. Go online to cj.msnbc.com and report what you know.
Well, today's base closures is also the topic of our question of the day. Should U.S. military bases be closed during wartime? So far, 33% of you said yes, and 67% of you said no. Well, coming up next, a battle of epic proportions, the Federation versus the Empire. We'll be right back.
I was about 17. I started Fry Farms. I sold our first load of pumpkins to a local Walmart. One by one, my brothers came home from college to join me in the business. 10 years later, we're selling millions of cantaloupes, watermelons, and pumpkins that can be found in Walmart stores across the nation. The business that we do with Walmart affects our growers and suppliers in a positive way. As we grow with Walmart, so do these other companies. Walmart has helped build the foundation for a great business. It makes me feel great. I love it.
Have you seen my new pillow windows? They're stunning. But look at this. The shades are in the windows? Yeah, so they don't get dirty or damaged. And they work like regular shades? No, even better, they're cordless. Look at that. One, it's so easy to change the shades, too. Oh my gosh, look at that. Do it again.
The new designer series, Windows and Doors. Only from Pella.
Want to see the other one?
Eventually, you'll look through them. The Design Your Own sale is going on now. Call today for more information.
That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Really great loan offers.
Remember, no points.
Okay. We'll let you know.
I think we got some pretty good mortgage offers there.
Yeah. Of course, we still need to pick a real estate agent.
Sorry about that, guys.
Now you can find a mortgage and a real estate agent all in one place. At LendingTree.com, you can search for homes, select an agent, and choose a mortgage. Plus, you can get up to a $1,000 gift card to the Home Depot when you close with a real estate agent certified by LendingTree.
Thanks to Sprint, ING Direct customers don't have to go to the bank. The bank goes to them. Online or on the phone, ING Direct has been able to give customers reliable, secure access to their accounts with zero service interruptions over the Sprint Peerless IP network. With Sprint, ING Direct is secure, convenient, beautiful. Detailed case studies at sprint.com.
Hello, Chicago. Anyone there? Can you hear us?
How do we do this?
With this.
But that's a phone.
It's a phone, it's the web, it's a video conference. Ed, stop hitting the TV.
Konnichiwa.
Productivity, powered by Cisco.
Guys. Hi.
Hi.
Of all the places a Sequoia can take you, the best place is back to your family. The 8-passenger Sequoia. Moving forward. Toyota.
So it's actually finally come to a theater near you, or at least some of you. Last night, die-hard Star Wars fans shelled out $500 apiece to see Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. a full week before the rest of us. Pay-per-view screenings were held in 10 cities across the country. The movie officially premieres May 19th.
Now, $500 might seem like a lot of money to see a movie to us, but for the dedicated men and women who consider themselves Star Wars fanatics, it's mere pennies. But they're not the only ones devoted to cinematic space adventures. In fact, the force is also strong with Star Trek fans who prefer phasers.
What about your phaser, Captain?
To lightsabers.
You will not turn to the dark side. Then perhaps she will.
So who's better, Luke Skywalker or Captain Kirk? Who's badder, Darth Vader or a Klingon? In the battle between the Federation and the Empire, who comes out on top?
Well, let's let the galactic battle begin. On the Star Trek side, Tim Brazil. Tim is both a Star Trek fan and founder of the internet campaigns Save Enterprise and Trek United, aimed at keeping the Star Trek series on TV. Tim joins us from Los Angeles.
And also joining us in the Star Wars corner, Shane Felix. He's not only a Star Wars fan, he's also the director of the popular Star Wars fan film we told you about a few days ago, Star Wars Revelations. And he joins us now from Washington. Welcome to you both. Tim, let me begin with you. So I understand that tonight is the last night of Star Wars Enterprise. You bummed out?
Star Trek Enterprise, yeah. We're having a party over at the embassy to kind of watch and get a lot of the fans together and celebrate the end of it. So, yeah, we're all a little bit unhappy about it, but it was a good series.
Well, you can tell how confused I am because I said Star Wars Enterprise, and of course it's Star Trek Enterprise. Shane, the Star Wars movie comes out in a week for the rest of all of America. How excited are you?
We're very excited, obviously. I mean, as all the fans line up, they're already standing in line, have been for a couple of months now. So, yeah, we're all set. But this is also the end of kind of our story, of our book in terms of the movie. So I feel a little bit what Tim is feeling. It's, you know, Friday the 13th, the last day of Enterprise, and it's kind of the last of the Star Wars movies. We kind of share a common bond or interest in terms of fandom.
Okay, all that common fandom and stuff, but Tim, let's get right into it. Who's cooler, the Trekkers or the Jedi Knights?
I think we all are to some extent. I mean,
that was a very diplomatic answer.
I'm covering bases here, guys.
Yeah, Tim, they're trying to start a holy war.
Yeah, they are.
Go ahead and say it, Tim, that you prefer the Trekkers.
Well, I mean, you guys are...
I'm actually a fan of both, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan from '77, '78, and I'm also a big Star Trek fan. So if you're trying to get an intergalactic battle going here, it probably won't happen. I mean, I love them both. You know, I love most sci-fi, but I prefer Star Trek, so we'll let that sneak by.
Well, Shane, let me pick up on that. Why would somebody prefer, say, Star Trek over Star Wars, or the reverse? Is it sort of like apples and oranges, or, you know, Trekkers are from Mars and Star Wars people are from Venus?
Well, you know, Ron, I mean, you might as well get in an argument as to, you know, taste great, less filling, or do you like vanilla over, you know, strawberry ice cream? It really is universal. I think you can break it down in terms of fandom. Star Trek fans are... The series has been 35 plus years, so it's been there longer. A lot of people associated with the social structures that it created. It dealt with a lot of morality issues. It also deals a lot more within science. It has a lot of family values. Now, Star Wars, on the other hand, deals more with fantasy, with mythos, with things that we all kind of dream of a galaxy far, far away. But whether it's Star Trek, Star Wars, I mean, when you get fans, which is basically a fanatic, they believe in something very strongly. And so this war that you're trying to pose stems from with somebody feeling strongly about one thing, and they'll stand behind it. But I think that fans, you know, why can't we just all get along type thing?
Well, not everybody is so diplomatic as the two of you guys. Casey writes in, Star Trek has always been about the power of humanity to rise above its petty differences. Star Wars is a children's fantasy.
Fighting words.
Tim, you want a piece of that?
The only thing I'll say on that, like I said, I'm a fan of both, but I think the difference, like he said a minute ago, is mainly that Star Wars is a little bit more fantasy oriented, to where Star Trek is a little bit based more on technology. And you know, to me, I hope I'm not going to get in trouble here. To me, Star Wars is a little bit more for people who can just sit down and watch a movie and don't have to, or a series, and not have to concentrate on what they're doing.
Uh-oh, Shane, you going to take that sitting down?
I will take it sitting down, because I'll agree with him. I don't want to have to think too much. I would like to go to a galaxy far, far away and escape. I don't want to be bombarded with science, and that's just my own personal preference. But I think that the comment that you're getting from email saying that Star Wars is geared more towards children, that might be a little rough, but it's also a little bit sad to think that, yeah, there is a child within inside of all of us that loves what that myth and that magic has done with the warrior, the adventurer, that sort of thing. Star Trek still has their own exploration and science, so it just delves a little bit more in technology, and it gets too deep into it, whereas I just want to sit back and entertain me. I want to have a good time.
Well, in that vein, Tim, who's got the coolest sound effects? I mean, Star Wars has those lightsabers, you know, they, but you guys, the Trekkers, have like the tribbles, the little furry things.
We've got phasers, we've got, yeah, we have phasers. The lightsabers are really cool. I think a lot of the difference with Star Wars too is that they actually have a lot more CGI. I mean, they use a lot more animation in the robots. I've actually seen Shane's movie that he put out, and it's dynamite. I mean, it just rocks. But I think as far as effects go, I would say that Star Wars has a lot more. You know, I mean, that's commonly known. So, and I think if they could incorporate the two with Star Trek and Star Wars, I think we'd have a blockbuster. You know, I mean, I think something that would attract both crowds with both of this coming to an end.
Well, I tell you what, Tim,
I think it would just do dynamite.
I tell you what, Tim, if Paramount, from the $3 million that you raised from that wonderful website you created for fans that support Trek, I tell you what, we can team forces together. You bring the money, I'll make the film, and we'll make a film that fans like. How about that?
Oh my goodness, the forces with both of you.
My number's on the website.
Oh, wait a minute.
We'll just do away with the networks and move on with it. We'll make our own fan film. There you go.
There you go.
All right.
Give me a call.
Look, we can all get along, and you gentlemen just proved it. Tim Brazil and Shane Felix. Thanks, guys.
Live long and prosper. May the force be with you.
Absolutely. When we come back,
do the Vulcan thing this time.
Yeah, there we go.
When we come back, man's best friend saves the day. And remember, you can continue the conversation online. Just log on to us at connected.msnbc.com.
When it comes to the biggest legal cases, all the evidence points to one place. The Abrams Report with Dan Abrams, next only on MSNBC.
Dozens of military bases on the Pentagon's chopping block. But will the closings affect your safety in a time of war? Hardball, tonight at 7 on MSNBC.
Term life, annuities, long-term care. I can't make any sense of this. Can you do it?
I did a checkbook.
I'll play it for it.
There's no question. Understanding insurance and investing is difficult. At Genworth Financial, we're dedicated to making things clear. So when you're ready to figure it all out, we'll be there to help. Whenever that may be. Genworth Financial, the right approach to insurance and investing makes all the difference.
In the future, everyone will protect their eyes from sun damage like they protect their skin. Transitions lenses. They automatically adjust to changing light and block harmful UV rays and glare. So don't wait until tomorrow. The danger is here today, and so is the protection. Ask your eye care professional about Transitions lenses. Transitions. Healthy sight in every light.
Refinancing with Dytek's $395 flat fee home loan can save you thousands of dollars in closing costs.
I made a phone call to Dytek, talked to a lady there. She told me they had a special going for $395 closing costs. We answered some questions, faxed over some papers. Within 2 days, we were approved, and next thing you know, we were closed.
Refinance now with a flat fee home loan from Dytek.com. The total lender fee is just $395. Log on or call 1-800-DYTEK1.
If the bread makes the sandwich, Mazzio's new Chicken, Bacon, and Swiss is one terrific choice. Mazzio's new Chicken, Bacon, and Swiss, now on our new thinly sliced focaccia bread. Grilled chicken, Swiss cheese, sliced bacon, crisp lettuce, and tomato, served on Mazzio's new focaccia bread. Now enjoy any Mazzio sandwich on focaccia or our traditional hoagie roll. Want more for less? Lunch or dinner, try any half sandwich and Mazzio's 24-item salad bar for only $5.49.
Kitchen Creators Limited is the only place to totally fulfill your kitchen or bath dreams. Custom cabinetry from the finest craftsmen, unique surfaces, and appliances to create masterpieces are available at Kitchen Creators. If you are building a new home, remodeling, or updating appliances, let our award-winning team design what you want for your lifestyle, your needs, and your budget. For over 50 years, Kitchen Creators Limited has been the hallmark kitchen and bath studio. Kitchen Creators Limited in Pear Orchard Village.
They are calling her Angel Baby, a newborn abandoned in the Lanana forest on the outskirts of Nairobi, Kenya last week. The 7-pound, 4-ounce baby girl had been placed in a plastic bag and dropped in the woods without nourishment or water. There she lay for perhaps 2 days, starving, her umbilical cord infected. She must have cried out, but along the busy road that bordered the forest, no one was listening. Nobody heard. Well, almost no one. I had just reached the Lanana forest, local Stephen Toya told Kenyan's Daily Nation newspaper, when I heard the sound of a baby crying. I looked closely and I saw a dog carrying a baby wrapped in a black dirty cloth as it crossed the road. The dog, mixed breed, no name, probably a stray, was likely out foraging for a meal. She'd just given birth to a litter of puppies and they were hungry. Now, this story could have taken an unfortunate and grisly turn, but remember, we're talking about a dog. These are creatures who have shared our lives for at least 12,000 years. There is a bond. Was the canine mother moved by the plight of this human infant? Was it just blind instinct? Whatever the case, she carried the little girl back to her own litter, caring for her as best she could. That's where the child was ultimately found, nestled amongst a pile of puppies under the watchful eye of the mother dog. She was taken to a local hospital and is now doing fine. And the dog? Well, dozens of Kenyans are visiting her home, bringing food and medication. One person has even offered to feed the dog until the day she dies. However skeptical you may be about the intelligence of non-human animals, it would be hard to argue that in this case, a dog, and a hungry stray at that, didn't act more responsibly than at least one human being. Going to the dogs? Well, maybe, if you're lucky.
Very sweet story, Ron.
Yes. The dog has a name, too. Savior, they're calling it.
Oh, very, very nice story. Well, we've been hearing more from you about the Pentagon's proposal to shut down nearly 180 military bases in the United States. Howard from Eureka, California writes, if the Bush administration decides to close bases, what's the problem? No matter what decision this administration makes, Democrats go nuts.
But Laura from Crescent City, California writes, when bases were closed in California, it put a burden on the vets and family members. It's not what was promised when these men were asked to make the military their career. Other arrangements should be provided. And there's more reaction to our debate earlier today about whether the Democratic Party has any new ideas to offer. A from Naples, Florida writes, this country needs a third party, preferably independent, with middle-class people who can run for office. We have too many politicians with their own agenda and certainly not showing any constructive ideas.
But Christopher from Lorain, Ohio writes, it's the same pattern over and over. The Democrat goes on about the evil of the Republicans, yet when asked for a different plan, we get nothing. No Social Security or base closing plans. The days of elect me first and I'll fix it later are over. Well, we will have more of your email responses coming up on Monday at noon Eastern. You can drop us your comments to connected@msnbc.com. Thank you so much for watching us today. Coming up next, the Abrams Report with the very latest from the Michael Jackson trial. I'm Monica Crowley.
And I'm Ron Reagan. We'll see you here again Monday at noon Eastern, right here on MSNBC. Have a good night and a terrific weekend.